Hello, friends and gamers. Thanks for joining me. I hope you are having a great start to your Friday. I hope you're listening this sometime in the afternoon, as soon as it went up on iTunes, as soon as it got posted to YouTube. That would be fantastic. It means I'm doing something right. So yesterday's podcast, I ended it with a to be continued. That wasn't some sort of lame tease. It was honestly because I thought I could rant for another hour and a half, and I didn't want to bore you to tears. I was getting worked up because I was getting passionate about why I believe journalism and media exist in the first place. In an interview, when I interviewed for a position at a newspaper down in Florida, after my Marine Corps career was over, and they asked me during the interview, I was sitting there with the managing editor, the publisher, and one of the lead reporters. And one of them asked me, what do you think the role of the newspaper is? It was a general question. It should be easy to answer, and I thought about it. And when the answer came to me, it wasn't because I was trying to think, what do they want to hear? Because typically when you're in a job interview, that's what you want to say. When people ask you things like, they'll ask you that typical, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And the typical interview response is that you always frame your weakness as a strength. My weaknesses are, I take the job too seriously. I work too damn hard. I'm just too smart. I'm just too awesome. That's my weakness. I'm sorry. Everything I do is amazing. That's my weakness. It's such a bullshit question. I don't even know why human resources people still ask it, but it's just standard interview question and response. It's almost like you get docked because you don't answer it properly. It doesn't matter what you say. It's almost like they're testing you to say, okay, did he prepare for this interview or didn't he prepare? It doesn't matter what you say or how you perform. It's just, they want to see that you prepared. It's really ridiculous. Anyway, they asked me, what do you think the role of the newspaper is? For those folks, I don't know, born after 1995, a newspaper was actually written on physical paper. Paper that you didn't wipe your hands off with and wipe your ass with. You actually read words on paper. Paper was for reading, folks, way back in the day. The days of the horse-drawn carriage. All right, anyway, back on topic. So it was the question, what's the newspaper? And I said, it's to inform the community. And not just general information, but to inform them so they're aware of what's going on. Because we live in a democracy, and it's important for the community to know what's going on so that when it's time to make decisions about their government and leadership and come together to solve social problems, they're all aware of what's going on. That's the media's role. To make sure that people are aware of what's going on. I don't care how it gets done, just make people aware. And that's why I get so passionate about the video game journalism. I mean, one, I like playing games. And I like playing the games, and that's it. If I was into surfing, I would take my skills and I would be podcasting about surf. Well, I'm not that great of a surfer. I don't live near the ocean anymore, so I can't be a surfer. I can't skateboard because my knees are all jacked up. I'm just not good at skating anymore, and I look ridiculous out there trying to do, old tricks from the 80s. Hey kids, this is called a no-comply. What? It's a no-comply. What, you've never seen a no-comply, a tail slide before? Oh my god, come on. Yeah, it doesn't work. So, that's why I got passionate yesterday about are YouTubers and people involved in video game journalism, and I'm just going to call it journalism because, look, if you're a YouTuber, you're basically a journalist. You're the media that's covering video games. It's not just Game Informer, Kotaku, big websites, that are under the umbrella of journalism, that actually have people that have journalism degrees working there. It's also the YouTubers, because if you have a YouTube channel and you have 500,000 subscribers, you hit 1 million views on one of your videos talking about a game, believe me, you have more influence. You're informing people a lot more than Kotaku is if they write an article about a game. I promise you. You have more influence. And look, you don't... Who's to say it's your job as a YouTuber or a podcaster to actually inform or try to find this altruistic, purpose for being? You don't have to do that. I think it would just benefit people. I can't sleep at night unless I feel like I'm doing that. And so after my big long rant about why are so many people in the video game journalism / media / social media world fixated on the petty nonsense of we have social media personality wars that take place. People devote their time to either trashing or propping up their favorite YouTuber. Ridiculous. You have people that spend way too much time complaining about games that they buy. You're going to buy every iteration of Battlefield, but you're going to complain about it along the way? Okay. You're allowed to do that. Fine. I just don't see a benefit in the long run, especially when you have video games as a central topic in the traditional mainstream media. And you have people that are older than myself that have no concept or context of video games. All they see are these warning signs. Oh, there was a scientific study done at the University of Fly-by-Night, and it says that video games lead to violence and are harmful. And if your kid plays video games, they're going to end up pregnant and shoot up a school. And do you want that stuff perpetrated in the traditional media? If you don't care, then fine, continue what you're doing. If you're like me and you care about it, then you need to inform the actual people who are playing the game and say, look, your industry is under attack. People who don't play video games want to blame all of these horrible things on video games. So okay, that's some high-minded kind of thoughts. But then yesterday I had the wonderful opportunity to interview a gentleman from Canada that's developing his own game. He's living off of cups of soup and he's just living and breathing this game. No job, turning down job offers because he has this vision for this game that he wants to make. And it's great. It's a first-person shooter. It's really heavy on the narrative. It was a great interview. It was a great opportunity talking to him. And that podcast is going to be up this weekend. And I hope you stick around and come back and listen to it. But I felt like that conversation with him reminded me of why video games are great. And why, if you are going to be a reviewer, if you are going to get involved in video game journalism, there's just a never-ending amount of stories to tell that don't involve how good are the graphics, how stable is the netcode, how much money is this thing going to make, which console is better. There's so much more to it. And when we talk about the publishers and developers, I just had a realization, do we have to continue talking about these studios as if every person who goes to work there ends up, putting on the same T-shirt and hat, and they essentially become clones of each other? It's like, no, these are individuals. These are people with real lives, and they bring their own history, experience to that job. And I got a piece of that by talking to Barry Collins, who's developing this game Ashen Rift. And it was wonderful because he was an interesting person. And the more I talked to him about it, the more I started to understand his game. And now I'm a huge fan of this game, and I want to play it, even though I'm not into PC games. It's a game that will be developed for Windows, Linux, and Mac. And I started thinking about all those times that I got angry at a major studio that has a AAA title. And I think, oh, what are they doing over there? Does anybody there even know how to... Are they playing this game? Are they even fans of this game? You know, you slip into that fanboy rage that you've taken something that I loved as a kid, and now you're ruining it. I have no ownership of this industry. I have no ownership of a video game or a franchise. I don't own any of this, and those people don't owe anything to me. Those people are following their own dreams. Those people are realizing they're executing their dreams, and they're doing it fueled by passion. They're motivated by faith that what keeps them up at night, what they think about all day long, is something worth sharing with the rest of the world. And that's true art. That's what I get passionate about. Whenever I sit down to write something, whether it's fiction or nonfiction or blog, these are thoughts that have been taking place in my head for a long time, and I can't relax until I get it out. If your medium is oil painting, there are visions and there are scenes that you're thinking about. There are feelings that you have to express, and you are agitated and anxious until you can get it out. You have to share this. You can't keep these feelings, these ideas inside any longer. That's how I feel about video game journalism in general. People should be passionate about it. This is how I feel. You should be passionate about it and motivated, because you can't live any other way. You can't exist without sharing news and information regarding video games. And when I watch a new YouTube video or I check out somebody's blog for the first time, that's what I'm trying to find out. If I can see through it in the first couple of minutes and realize you're just doing this because, I don't know, there's a paycheck in it. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to get paid. That's why you're doing it. I'm not going to name names, but again, there's another YouTube video. And this is someone I followed on Twitter. And I get the update, and it's like, hey, check out this new video or whatever. And I don't think I'd ever actually seen one of this person's YouTube videos, and I checked it out. It's 32 minutes long. It's a video blog. Much of what I'm posting, I'm just basically posting up on YouTube the video of this podcast. And I start watching it, and my God, 5 or 6 minutes go by, and I'm still scratching my head. I'm like, what am I watching? They're talking about drinking water from a cup? Or iced tea? What are they talking about? And why does he keep touching his hair? Vapid doesn't even begin to describe the emptiness that existed within that 32 minutes. It was a wasteland of banality. That's all it was. And yeah, I think that's a waste, and I think any of the subscribers or people that actually wasted time and energy watching and listening, we are just not contributing to society at all. That's just wasted time and effort. And again, video games don't have to be like that, and making videos about video games or getting involved in media or blogging about it doesn't have to be that way. There can be a better message. You don't have to sit and try and change the world from in front of your webcam or in front of your keyboard. All you have to do is just express how you feel about it. Share your enjoyment. Share what interests you with somebody else. And you will connect. You will connect with somebody, because certainly if you're a fan of video games and there's other people that are fans of video games, it won't take long before you guys find common ground. And that's all you have to do. That's how I see it. I just wanted to explain where my rant came from yesterday. I'm not mad at everybody who else is doing it. When I get angry, a lot of the time I'm finding a part of myself that I'm angry at, because I know that I'm capable of those things as well, and I'm culpable. I will be sometimes if I rail against a certain type of person who is vapid or narcissistic, I'm also mad at myself because I know I'm that person as well. I'm not above that. And that anger is a lot. There's some self-loathing in there. I am upset with myself for having felt that way. It's a strange moment, but that's what's taking place. Just so you know, I know the whole expression, when you point a finger at somebody, there's 3 or 4, I don't know, how many fingers do you have on your hand? There's a couple more pointed back at yourself. I understand that. But I get angry because I know that I get sidetracked myself. Like, why am I even doing this? Why did I want to do this? Why is this a better choice? Why do you care more about this than accepting the job offer, that's 6 figures? I'm happy to continue to turn down those offers, continue to do this for free, low quality, because I feel better at the end of the day. I feel better about myself that I actually express something that I care about rather than work for somebody else and do things that I don't care about and I don't believe in. In that interview yesterday, that's what Barry Collins reminded me of. He talked about working on video games, and at some point, you can either help somebody realize their vision or you can start expressing and realizing your own. But it's scary. He's broke. Broke is a joke, folks. But he's happier. There's something that's real. There's something that's tangible about being desperate and hungry and actually going after something you really care about. Not a lot of people are going to congratulate you. Not a lot of people are going to look up to you or envy you when you're in that struggle, when you're in that moment of building that thing. But you are going to find yourself in there, in that moment, who you really are, and you'll be much happier for it. Yeah, I've spent time on and off writing several different projects, some of which I've come near completion, some of which I've completed. And when you write, especially fiction, because I can't talk about developing a video game, because I've never done that. But I have created fiction, literature, and you really put a piece of yourself in there. You have all these different characters, and they're interacting with each other, but each one of them represents a piece of you. Those voices had to come from somewhere. And as you're writing, these voices and these characters and this world is with you everywhere you go. And eventually when you put it on paper, now you're sharing it with the world. And there's a frightening moment when other people aren't going to enjoy it. And they're not going to like it. Not as much as you do. That's scary. And it hurts. It really hurts your feelings when something that you've created and you cared this much about is rejected or people comment poorly on it. But like I said, there's a profound moment when you actually do that you discover who you really are. You find yourself in that work. And maybe you're not a writer. Maybe you're not someone who develops video games. Maybe you work with your hands. And you don't necessarily have to create art to do this, but look, if you enjoy what you do, if you work on cars, at a certain point, if you really love it, if you really have a passion for it, you discover yourself while you're doing it. There are challenges that you want to find and meet. You'll set goals for yourself. I think that's living. And so when I start ranting and getting angry and I'm talking about the conversation and topics we should be having regarding video games or media or YouTube, whether it's digital rights management and copyright, net neutrality, any of those issues, and I get passionate about it, it's because that's what I really care about. I know that I'm also to blame for ignoring some of these things and being distracted and looking at the shiny, pretty colors. And I just know that I can't exist otherwise. If you can go through your day-to-day life and there isn't something that you're passionate about, you're not driven by anything, I feel sorry for you. You probably have a wonderful life. And you have a lot less stress. But I feel sorry for you. Because I don't think you've realized what humanity is about. And it's strange that I'm putting together all these topics regarding, video games, and I'm getting very heavy and deep. Like I told you before, this is how I think. And I have to share that. I have to share that with somebody else. You, that one person that's listening right now, I'm sharing it with you. And I got the job at the newspaper when they asked that question about what do you think the role of the newspaper is. But in the end, I became disappointed with that job as well. Not that it wasn't a good job, it was great, but I started to push things a little too far. Imagine that, me. I wanted to cover some stories that were off limits. They appreciated my passion for the job. They appreciated my skills and talent that I brought there, but essentially, it's a business and they're about making money. It's that theme again, right? Even with the YouTubers. At the end of the day, you have to make $1. If you want to continue to do something and eat, pay for the roof over your head, you have to get paid eventually. I mean, that's the societal contract that we live in, right? That we live by. And so I wanted to pursue some things because I just had some questions. It was a resort town near the water. A lot of conferences and I think, I'm not going to name companies and stuff, but lots of big industries would come down there, stay a couple of weeks. Well, even when the Super Bowl comes down, anytime you have a lot of out-of-towners coming into a resort area, what's one of the first things that happens? A lot of new talent starts arriving at the local strip clubs. Strippers and hookers. I'm sorry, this is just a fact of life. Strippers, hookers, drugs. People on vacation. Not everybody's doing that, but look, if 100,000 new people are showing up in town for the weekend, clearly let's look at percentages. And so then I start, looking through, previous newspaper editions and just, going through, looking for, the crime sections and finding out like, okay, when was the last time there was a prostitution bust? Never in this town. Never. I must have looked back like 10 years worth of newspapers. Couldn't find a prostitution bust. And I thought, that's a story idea. Now, I'm not investing something that's taking place. I'm actually interested because it's not taking place, and that raises questions. Maybe they're just doing something awesome in this place. They actually have strip clubs, bars, no prostitution? This is amazing. Police departments in other cities around the country would love to find out what the secret is. And so I started, kind of tailing a couple of women that I thought maybe were prostitutes. And look, I'm not trying to be stereotype women or, be a misogynist about it, but look, there's a certain type of dress code that they seem to abide by. And I thought I had enough evidence just of where certain girls were at certain times of day, certain payphones they hung around, the different types of cars they got in and out of, that maybe this is something worth following up on. So I bring it to the editor. And then I have another meeting with the managing editor and the publisher. And simply put, they told me, look, you have, like, we can allow you to go ahead and continue this story. I was like, but eventually we're going to have to make a decision. Do we want to take a certain amount of money and put that aside to defend you against lawsuits that might come down for running this type of article, because you're basically indicting somebody of wrongdoing, and they might come after us with a lawsuit, so we'll have to defend ourselves. Or we could give you a raise. We could take that money and just give you a raise. That conversation really happened. And of course I took the raise. What am I gonna like, I'm not, it wasn't Watergate. But it was just another lesson in life that, hey, look, at a certain point, is it worth the trouble sometimes? Is it worth the effort to actually do something that you feel is right, knowing there's going to be pushback, knowing there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow here? People even might consider you a pariah. So you have to make the decision. Do I want to do it for the money, or do I want to do it for, these other reasons? Well, like I said, I chased the dollar for a little while and then realized I'm much more unhappy doing that. My life became miserable. And I'm just much happier doing things that I truly enjoy and believe in. That doesn't necessarily mean success. And so, like for that interview with Barry Collins, the maker of Ashen Rift, he's probably much happier working on a game that he truly believes in, but he's not getting paid. And there's no guarantee that he will have a pot of gold when his game is finished. But I'm sure he's much happier with that decision. I'm much happier for my decision. I hope that you find something in your life that you are happy about doing, that you're passionate about, regardless if you can measure it in terms of success and failure. If you find yourself in there, in that process and that struggle, it's worth it no matter what you're doing. And that, my friends, is a First-Person Shooter Friday. Your to-be-continued version. See, I come down off the ledge. I get fired up, but then I come back down as well. It's Friday, folks. I am happy to be able to be playing Xbox with friends. We're going to fire up some Halo 4. We're going to shoot each other in the face. It's going to be a great time. I have this wonderful interview that I'm going to finish editing and get it out to the interwebs Saturday or Sunday, at the very latest on Monday. I'm waiting to hear back on some music that I want to include in the podcast. Yeah, it's great. Winter is ending. Spring's about to start. Things are good. All right, folks. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment, subscribe, share, tweet. Don't be afraid to have this discussion. Don't be afraid to follow your dreams. Don't be afraid or be shy or timid about being passionate about things. Thanks again. I am Gunner, and this was the Gamers on Tap podcast.